I'm going to kick things off, Sigve. You ready, my friend?
Sure.
You ready, Edia?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Hello and welcome to Breakfast with a CEO, a show hosted
There's
by...
no breakfast here.
There's no breakfast.
Yeah, where's the
there's
breakfast? You
croissants.
didn't want the
There's
breakfast.
Yeah, we offered breakfast.
We offered.
That's a good start then. Actually,
Yeah,
you know what?
that's
Sigve,
funny.
You were meant to bring breakfast. Actually.
Yeah, where is it?
I didn't read the invitation. Yeah, very nice.
So,
Yeah.
Sigve, how would you explain 5G to a 5-year-old?
Well, 5G is not another G, because you may have heard about 2G and 3G and 4G and now 5G. What it is, it's basically three things. One, it's very, very fast. So you can download movies in a couple of seconds. Very, very fast. Much faster than what we have seen before. Two, it is such that there is absolutely no latency in the network. And you don't feel that when you're talking on your mobile phone. But if you are a serious gamer, you know all about latency. Because you have to have the less latency you have, the faster you can respond. So serious gamers, they either need fixed line or they need 5G. So the mobile network, as you know today, doesn't really work if you want to win a gaming play. And the third thing is that 5G, it's we call it, it's the components of 5G is that you can reserve some channel for yourself. Meaning that, for example, you may have noticed that when you are on your mobile phone, the capacity goes down. And when a lot of people are using the network at the same time, there is less speed and less capacity for you. But on 5G, you can have your own kind of channel in the network. Meaning that, for example, if you want to have autonomous driving, for example, you cannot afford then that people are watching a lot of movies and then the whole network goes down. So you need a separate channel for that. So that is 5G in a nutshell. However, you need a new phone to use 5G.
So my iPhone 11 won't
That
support
doesn't work.
Really?
So iPhone is coming out with 5G now, probably in the end of the year. Samsung already did. But iPhone is then coming soon, and of course later all the phones will have 5G. But currently it doesn't support the 5G network.
So you sort of get your own like package of 5G. You know, is that what I understand? Like your own channel that you will use up?
Yeah,
or that you
but not you personally. But,
Not me personally.
But for example.
Can you arrange that for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do a little side deal here?
But for example, if you want to do remote operation surgery,
Yeah.
then the hospital will get their own channel.
Yeah.
If you want to do the autonomous driving, the
car company.
the cars will get their own channel.
Each individual car or the sort of the network of
No,
Teslas, for example?
Exactly.
Okay,
The network
understood.
of Tesla, for example. Or if you are a factory and you are really dependent on 5G. For example, we are testing out 5G now with the fishing industry, the salmon industry.
How do you do that? Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Because the salmon farms, they're out in the sea. And they have a lot of sensors in the what we call this the farm, and there are hundreds of thousands of fish in the farm, and then all those sensors are picking up data from the farm and they're uploading that. But every time a tourist ship, comes along, and the people on the deck are taking pictures and sending videos, the whole system goes down.
You're kidding.
Because of the capacity. So they will need their own channel in 5G.
Fish need Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
And fast Wi-Fi.
So that's some example of what 5G is and why 5G is a little bit different from the other Gs.
In terms of where we are in the world right now, with COVID and going online, Udi and I have been doing a lot of live broadcasting. We are very common and we're very used to live events. Now we're going live streamed events. 5G and live streaming, will that allow that whole industry to take off into a different realm? Because 4G didn't really support it beforehand.
Yes, I think you can do most of what you currently do on video conferencing and all that on 4G, if you have a good 4G network, as we do in Norway. Actually,
as you do in Telenor.
Exactly. Actually, we have the fastest 4G network
there it was.
in the world.
There it was. We were waiting for the plug.
So that you can do, but you need capacity.
Yeah.
And especially if you start doing more advanced services, not only talking to each other. So, for example, if you play around with what we call augmented reality, if you start getting into that type of technology, then you need much faster speed. And then you need 5G.
Okay.
And if you want to do gaming, as I said, online, then you need 5G.
Are you a gamer, Sigve?
I'm not.
But the main focus of the show is to understand from you, the leader of a 20,000 something person company that was founded in 1855.
Yeah, long history.
Didn't know that.
No.
Hello, join me, everyone at home listening to this, in welcoming Sigve Brekke.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sigve, the first question we always ask all our esteemed guests is, what do you have for breakfast, mate?
Mostly just bread.
With
Some jam, some ham. Yeah. Or some
Classic
cheese.
Norwegian shiva.
Very, yeah, exactly.
Okay, it's good. I like that. That's a humble way. And do you have any morning routines that we would be interested
Exercising.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to do an hour every day.
you wake up at
6.
6?
I do an hour, 6 to 7.
What do you do?
I go to the gym, do a little bit this cross-country machine, and then some weightlifting.
So you live next by Sats
Yeah,
or something?
I
Yeah.
do. So it's very convenient. I try to do that.
Yeah.
Also when I travel.
Sigve, we have been doing some digging into your life and your career, and
Wow.
yeah, we find that you have had a very diverse both life and career, and you just told us about the disc jockey career as well, and you've been living with as a farmer, you've been a politician, and you've been many years in Asia. Like when you were a teenager, for example, did you have an idea of how your career would shape out, or have you just been going with the flow in a way?
Yes and no. When I was a young teenager, the plan was to be a farmer because I grew up on a farm and I was the oldest son. So the first education I had was a forestry school to learn to be a timberman. And then
And we're talking like cutting down
Yeah,
trees.
cutting down trees. Yeah.
and I worked with that actually for a year's time. So that was the plan. But then after quite a few years, I found out that this is probably better to live with my brother. So today he's running that farm.
Yeah, but why? How did you figure out that?
Actually, when I was around 20, I think, and my brother is 1.5 years younger, we agreed that let's try to run the farm together and see how it works out. And we did so for some months. And after some months, I just saw that he was better than me. So I took a very practical approach to this and said, this is yours. I will try to do other stuff.
Okay.
But so that was the beginning. But after that, I will say that the advice I would have to people actually, it's two things. One, try out so many things as possible. Because at least if you want to be a leader, you need to know a little bit about a lot of stuff. Don't specialize too quickly or too early. And the other one, it's do your very best at any time. Then the opportunities will come along. Don't try to plan your whole career. Too many people in their young 20s kind of have figured it all out. And when you do that, you get a little bit stuck in your plan and you lose the opportunities. You lose the ability to kind of grab the opportunities when they come along. So my life has been all about doing my very, very best. And when the opportunities comes, I have taken them and here I am.
Testing many things out. But did you always see yourself as a leader, or?
No, I always saw myself as someone that would like to be a part of changing something. So in addition to the farmer story in the early days, I became involved in politics very early. And that was to try to kind of change the things for the better in the small community where I grew up. So I was elected to the local council or the local parliament in the small place where I grew up when I was 19. And that was just because I just would like to get more attention to jobs and schools and things to do for the younger population. And that has always been the drive. And that's the drive today also in Telenor, trying to change things, trying to make things better, trying to make a difference. That has been the drive, not to be a leader.
But why not? Why stop being a politician? Did you see any limits there, or?
No, but I spent all my free time in the beginning. First on the local level, then I moved up to the regional level, then I moved up to the national level. and I ended up as the Deputy Minister of Defense without any military background. And I was in the Ministry of Defense for 3 years. And so I basically was a full-time politician then for 10 years. And I just felt that there must be something else out there. So I decided to quit. So fortunately, I got a possibility to be a year in the US as a part of international center at a US university. So I studied US foreign policy and how the US basically look at the world. Then after I did that for a year, I decided to apply for a master program. So I did a mid-career master in public administration. And then I decided just to go into things I didn't know much about. Finance, economics, and also for some strange reason, Asia. And that was the basis I had when I came back to Norway, started in Telenor, and they sent me out to Asia.
So be inquisitive, it sounds like. You know, you were very inquisitive to learn new things and try things you hadn't done. And I mean, one question I always think about as well is, you know, so you were in your 20s to 30s then, right? So
no, I'm in the 30s, 34.
Now in your 30s,
After
you know,
10
and
years,
did you ever have this sort of, did society's pressure of what you should be doing ever influence you? As
in the beginning, yes. As a farmer, yes.
Yeah, of course. You were meant to be a farmer.
Yeah.
But
after that, no.
How did you overcome that? Because I feel a lot of us, you know, you're just over turning 30 now. Just turned 30. I'm turning 30. You know, there's a lot of societal pressure about what I should have or what I should have done, or what I should be achieving. How do you overcome those kind of things?
Oh, that's actually a good question. Because not only I decided not to be a farmer, but at the same time also left the community that I grew up in. So if I hadn't done that, I would probably have that pressure. But I did move from there into the city and becoming a politician. And then I had some pressure during my political days. So I still remember when I decided then to quit as a Deputy Minister of Defense. A lot of people said, "Why do you do that? You are in the middle now of a political career." But I've always been driven by this, being so curious, that there's always something new to learn, always something new to try. So I haven't really thought about this, but interesting question. But it's very much about thinking about tomorrow rather than standing still. And I always believe that I'm not spending much time on thinking about things that I regret. That's a waste of time. And I'm not thinking a lot about the future either. That's actually also a waste of time. It is what you do now that matters. Yeah.
Do you have any life hacks? Like, do you meditate? Do you only eat? Are you vegan? Is there any hacks there, or you just live your life as you want to live your life?
Yeah, I do.
I love it.
If you had to do it all again, if you had to go back to 30 now, what would you do differently?
Basically nothing. I would probably have finished my studies before. I would probably have gone abroad before, because I was 35, 36 when I went to Asia. But no, basically I don't regret anything. And I think everything that happens to you is a learning opportunity. And even if it's bad, it's a learning opportunity. The challenge is just to turn it into learning, not to turn it into a regret.
And look at it, what is this trying to teach me, right? Whether it's a positive experience, then it's very easy to see what it's trying to teach you. But if it's
also
negative,
negative is even more important.
Even more important, exactly.
And nothing is negative, basically, if you turn it into a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Sigve Brekke, CEO Telenor, some words of wisdom. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. So to sum it up, everyone leave your home country for a few years, get some new experiences, try some new things, but do come back because we need you, especially in Norway.
We heard that you love Asia and that you've been a good businessman in Asia. Like, did you fit in immediately, or was it like a culture shock?
It was not a shock, but I didn't fit in immediately either. It took some time. But I think one of the strengths I will say Telenor have had in our Asian business is coming from a small country, meeting the challenges with a little bit of a kind of humble approach, trying to understand, to learn, trying to be close to both the culture and the market. And from there I picked up, and the rest of the team picked up.
We're very curious about like how is the business culture in Asia? Is it very difficult? Like what comes to mind that is very different?
A lot of things are different. First of all, it's It's more dynamic. Things happen much faster, at least in our business, in the telecom business. It's very unpredictable, both politics, regulations, and business as such. It's very mass market driven. For example, we have around 100 and how many is it now? 170 million customers or so in Asia. And that's all about the mass market, understanding the mass market. Then it is, what should I call it? What we did when we came was trying to take with us the best from Norway. So, for example, the first place I became CEO was in Thailand. I remember I took over after a CEO that was kind of untouchable. He had his own, not only office, his own floor. He had his own lift.
Wow.
He was not
I'm
supposed
not going to mix with any employees. Wow.
So he was not kind of supposed to be a part of. We
God.
didn't mingle with the people. We decided then to take the Norwegian approach.
Yeah.
Roll off the sleeves, be out in the market, being approachable, flatten the organization, open up the offices, and all that. So, and that what we learned from that is that in the end of the day, people are people. People like to be respected. People like to be noticed. People like leaders that are trying to being approachable. So we kind of developed a culture around that in all the 5 markets we are operating in Asia.
Do you not face a lot of friction when you, I mean, obviously Norway, and this is, you've hit the nail on the head there, because Norway's famous for being a flat organizational structure, right? Which has its mostly positives, but also has negatives. What friction did you face when you tried to implement a Norwegian mindset? Did you introduce Shiva too, or was it just on the hierarchical structure in Asia?
No, it was very much about, and this is still one of the values Telenor has, being respectful. We call it being respectful. And that meant being respectful for different cultures, different backgrounds, different genders. We can talk more about that later. Diversity, also being respectful in everything we did. And I think we had and still have an advantage because Norway is not a threat to anyone. We are not a superpower. We are not having a long history on how to colonize some of these countries. We come from this.
We have no bad blood.
Exactly.
No bad blood, yeah.
And that in parallel then with being humble and respectful. I think that was what we did. And treating people like people.
I've never thought of it that way. I mean, we often think of Norway as, oh, it's so small, 5 million people, and especially in the innovation ecosystem and even corporate ecosystem, you have a sort of preset glass ceiling because there's only so many people that can buy your product, or only so many companies, right? And even in the Nordics, it's 26 million, right? The Scandinavian countries together. But actually, if you were to scale, that can be an advantage because the qualities that we uphold here in Norway I mean, not all of Janteloven is good, but some of it, and that's the rules to say that nobody is better than anyone else. Going into a market like Asia, you stand out actually because you're a whole new breed versus, not to say the US, but other countries, UK, which maybe are a little bit more entitled because they're like, well, we're big and better and we know better. We're coming here and we're giving you our products, and whereas you guys coming in there, the humble Norwegian, people of people.
Yeah, that's exactly the approach. And it sounds simple, and it is simple.
It is.
However, it's relatively hard to do because you have to be. It has to be more than talk. So in the beginning, it was very important for us to pick people with that behavior. And in the beginning, we had only Norwegians as top leaders. Over time, we kind of developed more Asian leaders. And most of them also being based here in Norway, so that they kind of really get this under their skin.
And I also heard that you gave free internet to Myanmar.
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 You mean the country Myanmar?
The country.
Yes.
Yeah. No, well, we didn't give free internet, but we gave connectivity. And you have to kind of, if you go back some years, I think we launched our operation there in 2014, 13 or 14. And back then, there was only 7-8% of the whole population that had access to any form for connectivity. Fixed line, mobile phone, whatever. So it was basically a country with 50 years lockdown. The country was closed. So we then fortunately got a license. And then 7 years later, 60-70% of the population have access to the same internet tools that we have here in Norway. So they went from almost nothing to advanced users, and think about what that has done with that population. I still remember, I have to tell you that story.
Yes.
Please.
Because I was a part of the launch campaign that we had when we launched our services. And we were traveling the streets with blue balloons and some marketing material. And then we stopped in the middle of Yangon, it's the capital of Myanmar, because there was a home there for girls without parents. And these girls were in the age 18 to 23, 24 years. So we went in there and we thought these girls may not have any mobile phone because we knew that almost nobody had that. So we brought with us some mobile phones. And to my surprise was that they hadn't even seen a mobile phone before.
Wow.
And this is 2013 or 14. So they didn't really understand how this worked. They had heard about talking through the air, but they never understood how does that really work. So we gave them the mobile phone. We put in a SIM card, and I still remember, and I have the picture on my phone still. It was a girl, 19 years old girl, because I sneaked out, and then I called her phone, and the phone started to vibrate in her hand,
Wow.
and she didn't know what to do with it. And then she put it to her ear, and then I said, "Hello," and then it was quiet, and then she started to cry.
Wow.
And after some seconds, she said, "Hello." I still remember that moment.
Wow.
And then we went on, traveled further on the campaign, and then 2 hours later, I got an SMS from an unknown number,
Yeah.
which said, "Hello." So then in these 2 hours, she had gone from not even seeing a phone, testing the phone, receiving the first call, and figuring out how to send an SMS. That is really something we are proud of, because that's really changing societies.
Mm.
Have you followed up on the country or been there later?
Oh, definitely. I've been there
Yeah?
many times.
Yeah?
And now they really leapfrogged, I will say, everything we know about communication and also internet. So what took us 15 years here in Norway took them a couple of years. So now everyone it's having a mobile phone, almost everyone. Everyone is heavy data users. Facebook is something everyone is having, and they are becoming a part of the world. So today we have 21 million customers, I think, Telenor,
Wow.
in this country. And
What about the economy? Has something changed?
We actually did a study on that a couple of years back, some years back, where we saw is there a linkage between growth, also when the penetration grows, when more and more people get access to mobile phones, is there a link between that and the growth of the economy? And we saw that there was a clear link.
Yes.
Can imagine.
Yes.
Access of information.
Exactly, but also small businesses.
Yeah.
So in Myanmar, we also launched our payment services,
Wow.
our bank.
Yeah.
Because in this market like this, people do not have bank accounts. They don't have saving accounts. They don't have credit cards. So we launched our own bank, which is a digital bank, where you basically have your bank on your mobile phone.
What's it called?
It's called Wave Money.
Wave of money.
Yeah. And this was also something to stimulate the economy, because small businesses then got access to money, digital money. A payment became much more convenient. And overall, this has been a part of also growing the economy. Fantastic. You have to go there once.
I'd love to.
What a journey.
I
But
know.
don't wait too long, because
Yeah.
this market is changing so fast.
Wow.
Sigve, these journeys must have shaped you as a leader, right? From being in Asia, learning how they do things, bringing our Norwegian humble mindset to them. But what did you bring back now as a leader of Telenor? What qualities do you value the most in being a leader?
I actually want to answer that with the 4 key behaviors that we believe in Telenor, because that's very much myself also. The first one we call always explore. And what that is that you have to be curious as a leader. You have to be able to see a little bit around the corner. You have to be able to take a little bit of a risk, try out new things, and kind of being on the move, never standing still. The second one, we call it create together. And that's basically that as a leader, you are a leader of a team. So your main job is actually to get others to play together. And if you're a really good leader, you develop others. And you are surrounded by people that basically know more about their area of expertise than you know yourself. The third one is being respectful. I already talked about that. There is no difference between the one sitting in the reception and the top guy. They're all a part of the same boat, and you have to act like that. And the last one is keeping promises, which means that what you say, you do. Because as a leader, it's very, very important the way you tell stories. And I think that storytelling, it's a quality leaders often forget. Because storytelling is the way you build momentum. Storytelling is when you get everyone to believe in the strategy. Storytelling is something you use to motivate people. And at the end of the day, people don't only work for salaries and for bonuses. They work because there is a purpose. There is something that they are a part of. And that's all coming from storytelling, from leaders. So those will be the main things.
So what were the four then? So it was
always explore.
Always explore.
Create together.
Create together.
Be respectful.
Be respectful.
Keep promises.
Keep promises. Okay, we can finish it that, I think. But that was golden, Sigve. Yeah. What stands out to me from your journey and things like that is, I mean, you have been described to me when I spoke to your colleagues as sort of you're the father of Telenor, and you are coming out of.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, well, I had
you're
one
going
or two.
back to 1850.
Okay.
No. I have been a part of an amazing story, but there are so many others that have contributed.
What is your legacy as a CEO?
I hope that we are able now to take Telenor into a digital future. What telecom companies are really struggling with generally is that we had a fantastic growth story when people basically lined up to get their first mobile experience. Now everyone has a mobile experience. Now it's about what can we give them in addition to that. We still have to build solid networks, but we also want to build some products on top of that. And in a digital world, the services need to be digitalized, being your IT systems, but also being the way you communicate with your customers. So digitalization kind of taking a 150 years old company into a digital future, and doing that with a little bit of the same mindset as startups have. And in Telenor, we call it red and blue way of working. The blue way of working is the kind of the solid, established, big companies, very structured, a lot of plans, risk control, and so on and so forth. The red way of working is this the startup mentality, doing sprints, testing out, failing, learning, and that. And you need to kind of take a little bit of both if you want to have that journey. So that's one. The second one is that in our business, things go so much faster than it ever did before. And scale is also becoming more and more important. Today, Telenor, we have 982 million customers operating in Scandinavia and in Asia, 9 countries. So we are among I think we are measured in customers, number 13 in the world.
So before we started, you said that it has been okay for you to be a leader during COVID. And we've also heard that Telenor has made many changes, that you can work from home from now on as an employee. Why don't you give us a little brief about how it has been for you to be a leader and what kind of changes you've been doing and how it has worked out?
Well, first of all, I was positively surprised that we basically overnight took 19,000 employees to home offices. Yeah. So out of those 19,000, 90% of them have been working from home and been running the entire Telenor operation. And we were more prepared for doing that than what I actually knew. So that, and then after some month, we saw that this is really working. And we tested also out with our employees what their experiences were. And the feedback we got was that it's actually motivation is going up for most of our people. Efficiency is going up. And they talked about things like meetings are fewer, meetings are shorter, we are more focused, we get some time to go deeper without being disturbed. Life, also family life for those that had kids were better. So we decided then to actually make this permanent, not only a COVID situation. So I went out then before the summer and said that this is something we want to continue with forever. We're giving our employees freedom and trust to figure out what's best for them. What we have done over the summer, because if for this to work, some important things need to be in place. So what we have done over the summer, we have upgraded 180 meeting rooms here in Norway, and we do the same in all other markets with advanced video equipment. We have taken down some walls to create more social zones. And what we believe, and what the feedback we get now, is that people will probably spend around 3 days in office on average and 2 days at home. And then we see that this is really working for us. However, it is more demanding to be a leader, because you cannot be a kind of old-fashioned leader now with sitting in the end of the table and having all your people around you, and then you are monitoring that they actually do the work. When you don't see people and when you only see them through the video screen, it has to change leadership. So we have decided now to talk about the trust-based leadership, which basically have 3 important components, and we call it tight, loose, tight. Tight, it's that you need to be very tight on the goal setting and expectation setting. So the people working at home need to know exactly what is expected from them. Loose, which is the middle part, it's about giving empowerment, giving freedom to figure out how to solve the task. Not detail the task, but give freedom how to figure out the best way of doing it. And then tight again, it's a follow-up system. You have to measure. And if you're able to do this tight, loose, tight as a leader, I think you will see both efficiency, you will see increased motivation, and you will see a company which actually is benefiting out of this new way of working.
This podcast is supported by the Ski community, right? And the Ski community, as I said, are on a mission to close the gender economic gap, right? And currently, going into COVID, it stood out about 206 years, they said it would take before we really reached equality, which is just unfathomable, right? I'd like to reiterate that point. Now, moving to where we are today, through COVID, it's actually increased to 260 years, apparently. Do you think this new working environment will support reducing that economic gap, or is it too soon to tell?
That I think is too early to tell. But I do think that regardless of COVID, I do think that the future is much more about diversity. And we are using the word diversity, where gender diversity is one part of it, a very important part of it, but there is also diversity more in general. And the reason why we are focusing very much on diversity is that we see that if you want to have that create together, which was one of the values I talked about, you need diversity. You need people with different backgrounds, different nationalities, different genders, different experiences. If not, you don't actually need all the people because there is no benefits of just having people saying the same. That's important. The other part which is important is that most companies now are much more customer focused. You need to understand customers' needs. And if you don't represent your customers in the management teams and in the organization, you will lose out. So diversity is extremely important going forward. The times where everyone is alike in the top management and middle management, those are gone. You will not be able to take that step into the future.
And in terms of leadership, diversity and experience, as you said, based on your background, having been the farmer, having been the DJ, having been the politician, and the army almost officer, but not, working with them, defense minister.
Not defense minister.
Almost. Secretary.
Yeah, I was a deputy minister.
Deputy minister, yeah. Okay. Sigve, the famous question, what is equality to you?
Equality means that everyone is equal, basically, and everyone contributes with the experiences and with inputs that you need if you want to create what I call a whole organization or a whole way of looking at societies. So it's that simple. It's not charity. It's not politics. It's for us. It's business. So everything we do on equality, everything we do on diversity is business. It is rooted actually in making business better.
Right now, a lot of people are uncertain about the future. maybe been enlightened by the idea of 5G for their gaming. But what are you excited about? What opportunities do you see in the future that you're excited about that might inform other people to be optimistic about the future coming out of COVID?
Out of COVID, we have said that the new normal for us is going to have three components. One, a very different way of working. I already described that. So companies that are not prepared for home offices and all that, you better hurry up, because employers are going to look for that, for flexibility. The other one, it's that digitalization is going to accelerate. We think that we already are a digital society in Norway, which we are, but there is a long way to go.
Where else can it go?
Oh, it can happen much faster. Much faster.
I mean, where can phones go? I mean, I've got three.
Augmented reality.
Yeah.
Lenses.
But Google tried that, the Google Glass,
No,
and that was a fail, right? But it's because consumers weren't ready.
And it was really bad.
True.
No, it's not I'm talking digitalization more in broad terms, not only related to firms. I think that you will see that the way products are being produced is much more digital. You will see that more automation, more use of artificial intelligence, bigger data. We call it the perfect storm. And the perfect storm is when 5G comes together with everything being connected, comes together with artificial intelligence, because you create so much data. And so the issue is, do you let only the global platform giants do this, the Googles, Amazons, the Facebooks of the world, or do you try to take position in that yourself? This is in the private sector. An equally important factor, I think, it's the public sector. You will see that the public sector is also going to be digitalized. And I think that out of COVID, you will see this trend accelerated.
Fantastic.
Do you have any last message to young aspiring leaders?
Yeah. I used to have two advices. One, I already talked about, get so much experience as possible. Don't specialize too early. The other one, it's get out of Norway, get some international experience, because you will learn so much about different cultures. And in the end of the day, leadership, it's very much about managing people. It's about recruiting the best talents. It's about coaching the teams. And the more exposure you have also to the global part of the world, the better you will be.
Sigve, it was a great talk.
That was really well put.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that I would like to sum up there were, in terms of being a leader, having diversity and experience outside of Norway is something that stood out, and that's something that you are testament to, right? For you, it was Asia. For Isabel Alberberg, it was Czech Republic and others, and many of the CEOs we've had on the show echo that. So there are some running trends in this. Finally, Sigve, just for that last soundbite, what is a day in the life of you like? What's a day in the life of you like? If I were to swap with you for a day, what would my day entail?
First of all, every day is different. Start with that. My day is driven by things we do, but also by things that happens. So there is not much routine in my day. And my day is very much about communication with people. I spend a lot of time with recruitment, with the coaching, with mentoring, and putting teams together. That's a lot of my day is that. Then my day prior to COVID, it's being on the move. I really need to travel. I really need to see people. I really need to feel the pulse of the business. I'm definitely not an office guy. That's my day.
It sounds like a nice day.
Yes, sounds like a perfect day.
But Sigve, thank you so much for coming on the show. Sounds like a pretty awesome place to work, Telenor. I hope you're recruiting. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this either might work there and or want to get involved in your various initiatives, whether it's supporting people in Asia and providing them with connectivity, ed tech. I know you're heavily involved and investing in those areas. Anything that's exciting you right now that Telenor is doing? Right, just to finish things off, we should go and check out.
Yes, you should check out what we, if you live in Norway, you should check out what we actually do now on some of the innovation, both for the consumer customers, but also for even more so in the business segment. And you will find a lot of new things that we are planning in Norway. So come and check that out. If you are interested in Asia, my God, then the world is open for you. There's so many different things there.
Sigve Brekke, thank you so much for joining Ørje and myself, Matthew Smith, on Breakfast with the CEO.
Thank you.
Tusen takk.